On this week's episode of Nintendo Noise, we're talking about the Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase, and yes, Persona coming to Switch. What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 45 of Nintendo Noise, Flip Screen Games' weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friends and Woo! All right.
I like show hosts. Let's just keep
Show
going.
hosts.
Show hosts
All right.
is great.
Take two. I'm joined as always by my very good friends and show hosts, Mr. Steven Radford.
Hello, hello.
And Mr. Chuy Plays.
Goodbye.
Goodbye to my last brain cell, apparently, on that intro, but that's fine, all right? We are here to talk Nintendo Directs. Somehow 2 weeks in a row, right? Coming off of a long drought.
3 weeks. The week before that, we predicted the Direct on the 29th.
That's true.
And then last week was the Xenoblade Direct where Sierra kindly filled in for me. And then this week, we're back with a Direct episode again.
So I guess technically it is 3 Direct episodes, but 2 actual Directs back to back is what I meant. But yeah, we've been all about Directs over here, even though there's been a drought. So it feels like we're now feasting again. But of course, just today, as of this recording, the Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase popped off. Couple pretty big announcements. 24 third-party games coming to Nintendo Switch. We're going to talk about every one of them. We're going to answer a bunch of your questions. But before that, let me remind you that this week's episode of Nintendo Noise is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of June. They are, of course, Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valenz, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Asobi, Mary Berry, Smilky Shake, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. You're all the real to the real, and we appreciate your support of this fine program. If you want to show your support just like they did and get your name read on the air, or get a bunch of other perks and goodies, including getting early access to Nintendo Noise and our sister show Flip Screen Games podcast, or getting access to our Patreon exclusive podcast, One More Thing, head over to that there Patreon and go ahead and get them if that's what you want. You know, if you want them, that's where you go. Go check it out. But if you don't have any money to toss our way, that's no big deal. There are a bunch of ways that you can get involved with the show absolutely for free. Head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you can get links on how to get involved, including joining our Discord, writing into the show at questions@flipscreen.games, finding our Twitch channel, whole bunch of other good stuff. So go check it out. However you choose to get involved, however you choose to show your support, we appreciate you. We thank you for being a member of the community, and we thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Nintendo Noise. So let's get into it, right? Talking point, it's the main thing on everybody's mind. There's been another Direct, 2 back-to-back. Who would have thought? But, unfortunately, I guess depending on who you ask, right? The news broke that it was going to be a partner showcase and a mini Direct. And these are words that, to some folks, sends them running, right? They're immediately like, it's not a real Direct. It's this, it's that. Obviously, the partner showcases have been a bit of a mixed bag up until this point. But I think by and large, folks walked away from this one feeling pretty positive. I think that's safe to say, right?
Yeah, honestly, It felt to me like this was basically a Direct, but just Nintendo wasn't there. Like they didn't want to say anything about those games.
Yeah. And it was so strange that they opted not to live stream it. I think that's what the mini tag seems to mean to them. It's just,
Steve, I'm going to cut you off right there. I'm so glad you brought that up because, of course, Olaf wrote in over on the Discord and said, here's a question for this week. What factor do you think determines the term for a mini Direct and a normal Direct? Since this Direct, quote-unquote, mini was packed with a ton of content while still being a mini.
I think it's those 2 factors. No Nintendo first-party presence. Mario+Rabbids maybe, but not really. And then the fact that it's not streamed. All of the minis have just been put online. They've been put on YouTube or on their website, and you just watch them. And it feels kind of weird, I miss a bit of the hype. I miss a bit of the excitement of everyone watching it in the chat, freaking out, and live streaming it with folks. And I'm tempted to skip past the games I don't really care about or watch, which I do appreciate, but it was weird. This one didn't even show up on their YouTube channel until like 15 minutes after it aired. The only way you could find it was through like an unlisted link that they tweeted out to the YouTube video.
Weird. It popped up on mine like on time.
I watched it
maybe
so
it was
late.
just the Nintendo. It might have just been the Nintendo UK one then. I don't know. It was like it wasn't on the YouTube page. Like I was on my TV refreshing the page to try and get it to load, but it didn't.
I see.
Yeah, I feel like I used to think that the mini moniker had more to do with length, but this was long, right? Like this was like a half hour. Like I was expecting.
Yeah, it was the same length as the Xenoblade Direct, and that one wasn't labeled mini.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was really strange that this was called a mini. Like Partner Direct, fine, because it was all third-party announcements, but like I don't see in what way this was measurably a mini Direct when you have 24 announcements, some of which were like bangers, you know? I mean, like Persona on Switch, right? Like that's not to bury the lead. That's something that people have been asking for
since day one.
Yeah, right, 4 or 5 years now.
And it was ruined right before the Direct aired by like Atlas posting it out. It was really sad. And if they hadn't have done that, I think it would have been ruined anyway, because at least in Europe on the UK and the Nintendo Europe streams, they put YouTube chapters in. So you could just skip ahead and see what was going to be in the Direct, and like the last announcement was Persona. Whereas if that was streamed, like you saw Morgana come on screen or whatever, it would have had such an impact.
People would be reacting in real time.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But I also feel like it's like, I feel like that announcement was kind of ruined anyway by the fact that it was announced that it was coming to like literally every other platform. It's like, in what universe is it going to come to all these platforms and not Switch, right? Like, I feel like it was a foregone conclusion that it was going to show up at this Direct. Still hype, a little bit, but whatever, right?
Yeah. And I was thinking about like as far as like what kind of videos they do, because they could do like a premiere thing, but I remember I think maybe Pokemon tried to do like a premiere style video, like we're not going to live stream it, we're just going to premiere it, and that thing just like it ran terribly. I think it was the big reveal for something or other, maybe Sword and Shield or something. And everybody's stream was lagging. Nobody was getting the news right. It cut off like at the end because it just like the premieres, how they're set up. Like they go for the length of time that the video is and then cut off. But apparently if it like buffers or anything, like you're just losing seconds at the end of it. God. So like right at the biggest moment or something, it cut off. And then people had to just wait until it was officially uploaded to see it. So yeah, I don't mind them doing that, so they avoid these issues. But yeah, YouTube's got some problems when it comes to the premiere stuff on their end.
Yeah, that's rough. So, before we get into like, because we're gonna go through each individual game announcement, right? But we did kind of like throw out the question of like, what did everybody think of the Direct? How did they feel about it being characterized as a mini? I'd love to read a few of the audience or the audience reactions. But before we even do that, both of you two, we'll start with Chuy. How did you feel about the Direct overall, right? Like, if you had to give it a grade on a 5-point scale, or if you want to give it a letter grade, whatever, that's fine. And then what was your biggest announcement? What was the thing you were most excited to see?
I think as far as partner directs go, this was by far the strongest. I think in the past, they've been kind of weak and, you know, a little... It just lacked some pump behind it. Didn't really do much for me. But this one like had plenty of stuff where I was like, yeah, I'm interested in that. And others where I was like, yes, getting this. Yes, yes, yes. And then, so I'd say it was solid. 4.5 or so for this. I think, yeah, it had all the big stuff I could have wanted. I think the things I was most pumped for were definitely the Persona announcements, even though I'm going to play those on Game Pass and Xbox, and I'm probably not going to play the Switch ones. But I did also really like the one just before that, Square Enix's Harvestella, which looks like kind of their response to like Rune Factory, like that series. And I was just like, sweet, I've been wanting to get into Rune Factory. But this one just looks prettier than some of those. And I mean, granted, a lot of those were like handheld games. And then I guess their Switch one didn't really make waves as far as visuals go. So I was like, oh, yeah, this one looks nice. So, yeah, I think that's the big one for me.
Nice. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I thought this was a real slam dunk. And I feel like the mini moniker did an absolute disservice. It made people kind of write it off before they even watched it and saw it was included. Because the previous ones have been a bit crap, right? I think we had some that were like 10, 15 minutes before. I think, was it the first one? And the biggest announcement was like Dark Souls or something coming to Switch. And it was like, one big announcement, but the rest was kind of a little bit lackluster. This, I felt like it was slam dunk after slam dunk. It was well paced. We had like a little bit of a sizzle reel in the middle of it, which for a mini direct is just kind of unheard of.
This was the direct, just without Nintendo. It really was.
Yeah, it was. It was. And I felt like if they'd have put maybe if the Xenoblade was here, they would have called it a direct, and maybe they just had too much information for Xenoblade to show, that they split it out, and Xenoblade became its own direct where they wanted to showcase it for 25 minutes, and they had 25 minutes of other content rather than doing a 1 hour direct. Split them into two, call this one a direct mini, call the other one like a Xenoblade direct. But there's even more information coming for Mario+Rabbids tomorrow, or yesterday as of you listening to this. Ubisoft's doing their own presentation on that game, where they're going to go into depth and show all of the gameplay mechanics and the changes from the first game to this game, because there seems to be a fair few that we'll get to.
Miyamoto's going to walk in with a gun again.
He's going to be there again. Yeah, the guy's going to be crying. I feel like I feel like this direct was a good one. Probably not as high. I don't think for me. I think it's probably a 4 out of 5 for me. I feel like I would have liked to have seen some of the titles we were anticipating. I feel like if Silksong had been here and we'd have seen that again and maybe got a date on it, or like Advance Wars was back with a date, or Sports Story was here, some of those games that people are really excited and anticipating had made a return, I feel like it probably would have taken it up to that 4.5 or 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty aligned with that. I think, Steve, where I'd say it's probably closer to like a 4 for me, maybe a little lower. I think it was a really good direct, and I think I agree it was well paced. They had a lot of good stuff to show, but I didn't find a lot of it to be exciting, and I think it's very much like, every one of these presentations is going to be a case-by-case thing for somebody, right? And the thing that...
Well, let me ask you, do you feel like the excitement was kind of sucked out of the room for you in the fact that Persona was coming to all of these other platforms before?
Definitely.
I feel like if this was where Persona was announced, that it was coming to all of the other platforms, this would have been like up there for you. Like, holy shit, I can finally play Persona portably. I'm going to finally get into P4G and P3P. But because Microsoft did that like 2-3 weeks ago at this point, we kind of assumed it was coming.
Yeah. I mean, that was even one of your predictions, right? It was,
yeah.
And like, obviously, like, our predictions, I think, are kind of a wash because, like, we were thinking
a little bit,
Nintendo Direct, not a partner Direct. But, like,
yeah,
that's the one, I think, of all the stuff that we said that actually came true. And it was like, yeah, it's kind of a foregone conclusion, right? Like, I don't know. I think that definitely did take some of the heat out of it for me. But I also just think in general, like, there are a lot of games here that I can look at and recognize are like a big deal, but like they're just not games that speak to me really, right? Or like they're games that, I like there's stuff like Sonic Frontiers, for example, right? Where it's like, yeah, okay, cool, but like this is coming to, and like, right, like, take aside for the fact that I already think that game doesn't look great. But even if you were excited for that game, right? We've seen it now, 3 times in the past 2 weeks? It's like, it's not hot anymore. The fact that Nintendo is coming so much later than, the Xbox is, and like the IGN first look at that and all the other stuff that happened during Summer Games Fest, I think some of this stuff just feels a little stale, even though it is like cool, right? Like Nier Automata, right, is like, I know that that's a game that people really love, and like it's cool that it's coming to Switch, but it's like you can play that game everywhere, right? Like it's cool, fine, but like it feels akin to that Dark Souls news of like, that's cool for the people that want to play it on Switch, but like it's not a hot announcement the way that, oh, Persona's finally coming to places that aren't PlayStation was 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I wonder why it's a difference between it, right? Because Nier was exclusive, I think, to PlayStation for a long time, and then, yeah, it finally did make it to other platforms. But why is everyone so excited about Persona and not Nier? Is it just because Persona is just that step above in terms of a franchise?
I think it's just like it's a thing people have been asking for so long, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, again, I think with like Nier, it's like it originally came out on PlayStation and Steam, and then it came to Xbox a year later, right? So it's like, this is a game that's been released and it didn't just have an
It's had a sequel at this point, so this is the first game there's been a sequel to Nier Automata. Nier Replicant is the
Right.
sequel. So
I think that's the thing, right? Is like this is a cool announcement, right? But it's not the same as like something that feels really new and really fresh. This is a game from 2017 that has already come to like every other platform you could conceivably play it on, and now it's on Switch. That's not a bad announcement. That doesn't like bring down the quality of the presentation in my mind. It's just not exciting. It's not that like through the roof, like, oh yeah, like that's amazing. We didn't, like, and like that's fine. Not every presentation is gonna be that, and I think that's probably why they called it a mini and they called it a partner showcase. Is like, okay, like let's temper people's expectations, and I think because they did that, everyone walked away from it being like, oh, this is actually pretty sick. Like this is a really good presentation. Like there's a lot here. And that's the thing is there are at least a few games on this list that I'm interested in or are on my radar, but I think there's also a lot of games on this list that when we go through it, we're going to mark, oh, I'm interested in that, and then we'll never play it. And that, I think, is where it feels more like a 4 or like a B to me than like an A, even though I think it's a list of 24 games that mostly look really good. And I think if you're primarily a Switch player and like you don't have a PlayStation or Xbox, like you might be really hype about Nier. You might be really hype about Persona because maybe you didn't think it was a foregone conclusion. So like,
if you love these games, you've been wanting to play them again.
Sure.
And you want to play them on a handheld. That's another opportunity to do it, because I know that's what you're going to do with Persona.
Absolutely. So yeah, I don't mean to say any of that to speak ill. I think it's just like of a presentation that we're all very positive about. I think I'm probably the coolest on it. It sounds like, but I think that's fine, right? Like that's the nature of the beast with these things. And like I said,
I also think it depends on your taste of games as well, right? Because there's some in here that I'm really excited about. I'm sure you're less excited about, and vice versa. And I know Chewy's already said he's excited about Harvestella. I thought that game looked like nonsense. So I'm really looking forward to digging through them with you both.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that in a sec here. But let me just get some of the reactions from the folks at home. So this one comes from Smilky Shake, who said, "Far from mini. It was so good. So surprised to see a game from Cygames too. Their stuff is so good." Who's Cygames again? Are they the
They are the Dragalia Lost studio.
Right. Okay.
And they're working on Little Noah, I believe, was their game that they showed off.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Little Noah, Scion of Paradise.
Yeah, so you can see the kind of the lineage from, like, it looks like their work.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad for them, because I know obviously Dragalia just got shut down not that long ago, or maybe it's imminently being shut.
It's in the process of being shut down, but basically it's like you can't do anything in the game anymore, I don't think.
Which is a shame, because I know there was an audience that was all about Dragalia. So, and I know you being one of them, Smilky Shake, so I'm glad that this game got a look for you. Then we got Tyler Olson, who wrote in and said, "Lorelei and the laser eyes definitely caught my eye. I loved Sayonara Wild Heart, so anything by them is a must for me."
Yeah, I did not realize that game was by the Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Totally different style. Yeah.
It looks so different, but I'm very excited for it. Now I knew that. I was already excited because I saw Annapurna's logo come at the end, and I'm like, anything that logo's on is like gold. So I was already excited for it, and visually it looked really cool. So
All right, so then we got Rocky over on Twitter who wrote in and said, I thought it was a good Direct, and I'm looking forward to quite a few of the games announced during the Direct. Also, I think it did deserve the mini name, as it was shorter, and it was only concentrating on third-party games. So I think the third-party thing, that would be why you'd call it a partner Direct, and I'm with you there, but I don't know. You felt like it was shorter? I feel like it was, I mean, it wasn't long, but I mean, it was almost 30 minutes. That's pretty meaty.
Have they done a partner direct as like a proper direct where there's not been anything else from Nintendo in there? Have they ever done one of those?
A partner Direct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've done partner ones, but I think they were all labeled as like a mini.
Yeah, I don't think we've had like a proper direct that's been just third-party games.
I see what you're saying.
So that could be another thing that is like the reasoning behind it being a mini.
Yeah, good point.
Because I don't think they'd put mini on it if they had one of their own games in here.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. And then Trendy Brandy replied and said, consider me catered to. And it's just a picture of Bomberman, Pac-Man World, Doraemon. We're going to hear from Trendy Brandy a couple times in this episode because he was through the roof on this one. So,
and I want to wish him a happy birthday because I know it was his birthday. This was a nice present for him.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this now, it is his birthday because we'll put this up a day early even for the non-patrons so that it's timely. So if you're listening right now, it's Trendy Brandy's birthday. Go wish him a happy birthday over on the Discord.
Say congrats on another trip around the sun.
Yeah. And to that Pokemon competition. You know, he's taking all kinds of trips. So shout out to Trendy Brandy. We love you, bud. All right, so let's get into the games that we saw here. Because, like I said, we got a big old list, 24 third-party Nintendo games. So quite a few to get through here. The first thing we kicked things off with was an extended look at Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. We talked a little bit about like kind of the long-term DLC plans. Quite a bit there, I think, if you are a Monster Hunter Rise player, of which I know there are a few in the community. So I imagine that those folks are looking forward to this because I know we had that beta not that long ago. It was getting some good buzz. So, yeah, I mean, Sunbreak is here, and you've got a lot to look forward to, seemingly, because the last thing, they didn't even explain what it was, and it's like over, I believe it was the end of 2023 was the last drop they had planned. So you've got at least a full year and change of content coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how many updates they're planning on doing in 2023, whether they break it up like they're doing this year, because we got one in August, one in autumn, one in winter, so maybe they'll do like seasonal again next year, might have like spring, summer, fall kind of thing. We'll have to wait and see what their plans are for it, but it's nice to see that they're supporting it. I know it's a fairly chunky expansion as it stands already, with like a big story expansion and a bunch of new locations and monsters and things. And they've already announced that they're adding even more rare species of monsters and things in there.
Every time that thing pops up on screen, just afterwards, it's just, I feel like I see the words pop up that just say massive expansion. Like they know it's a lot.
Yeah, so Steve, I remember you tried this one when it came to the beta, and you were kind of interested in it, right? But it didn't quite grab you.
Yeah, so I tried when it came to the Switch Online game trials thing, the base game. I had a good time with it. I played it with a few folks from the community, Wakahola, Smoky Shake, and we had a good time when I was streaming. And I think this is one of those games where it has to be the game you're playing and you're invested in, and it's like all you're playing for a good chunk of time. I can imagine it will take a lot to grind through it. Although I do know in Sunbreak you can kind of skip ahead and you get like an even playing field. I think you can do it with one of your characters, and you can then just like level them up to the specific specification that they need to be in order to enjoy the expansion content, and you don't have to play through the base game if you don't want to. So that might be an easy way for people if they want to get into Monster Hunter Rises, pick up the expansion or pick up the gold version of the game, which comes with both, and you can relax and play the base game easily and blitz through it all, and then join your friends in the expansion.
There you go. So we also got the announcement. Oh, and that's coming June 30th. Is going to be the first drop. So eyes up on that one if you are a Monster Hunter fan. So then, like I said earlier, we got the announcement that Nier Automata, or Nier Automata, depending on, isn't it Automata? Am I crazy?
I genuinely have no idea.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure they said it wrong, but I'm not confident enough to call them out on it. So you, the listener, you tell me. But the game is coming on October 6th to Switch, of course. Extremely, I think, a very well-known game at this point, right? Like 2B as a character, extremely iconic over the last couple of years. So, this is a great news for anybody who hasn't had a chance to play it somewhere else, or maybe if you're, a longtime fan and you're looking for an opportunity to play it again on handheld.
She'll probably be in the next Smash, so might as well get to know her.
Could be. I gotta say,
this game not looked really good, like visually.
It
was
looks
just
good,
about to say,
yeah.
It looks really good on Switch, which I'm surprised by, because a couple of the other games that we got looks at that are coming to Switch do not look this good. And granted, it's an older game, but it's not a lot older, right? Like 2017 is when it dropped on PlayStation, so it's like a fairly contemporary.
Still, that's
game.
That's a PS4 game, so it's what I would consider to be one of those ports that I wouldn't have expected to happen, and if it did look something a little rougher, like the Outer Worlds, for example. But Nier's Japanese account has confirmed that it runs at 1080p in docked mode and 720p on handheld. Whether that's fixed or not, I don't know. And it runs at 30 frames per second, which I kind of expected, which is contrast to the other versions of the game, which will run at 60. But still, 1080p 30 is a decent way of enjoying that game. I'm interested to see the visual comparisons when it's released, and see the Digital Foundry video comparing it to all of the 700 other versions of that game.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I mean, of course, right? Like, it's not going to be the most high fidelity way to play the game, but I think, again, if it's one that you are
if it's the way you got.
Yeah, it's a good way. That's solid, and I think that's better than a lot of Switch ports.
Yeah, because I remember me and you playing through The Witcher 3 when Pixel bought it for us. And it was just a rough way of playing that game. It was not enjoyable on that console. It was muddy looking. It was difficult to follow what was going on. And that, by all accounts, was a decent port of that game. It was just like, you know what? Some art styles aren't meant to be compressed down that much. Some art styles, they can go down to low resolutions just fine, and they look crisp and clean and great. And Nintendo's the masters at making sure that their games look fantastic no matter what. The games like The Witcher and things that were designed for more powerful consoles didn't necessarily have less powerful mobile devices in mind.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, are those concessions worth it? And I would probably argue no. I think a game like that is going to be a lot more at home on your television screen than on a handheld screen. But Nier, I could see being the type of experience that does work on a smaller screen, and because it is like that, it's like a more frenetic, like, encounter-based action game, right? Rather than like something where you're exploring this big open world, and like something like draw distance is really important, So, the next one we got was Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. This is the one that Tyler called out. It's from the developers of Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is Simogo, I believe is how you say it. It's a quote-unquote modern take on puzzle adventure games, coming to Nintendo Switch first in 2023. Interesting one for sure. I would not have guessed it was the Sayonara folks, considering how insane and high, it
was ridiculously colorful, and then this is black and white with red shades of red.
Yeah, it was super high contrast, vibrant, Technicolor, and this is super muted noir, mystery type vibe. Very, very different. And then just like gameplay wise, super different, right? Sayonara Wild Hearts was like a rhythm game, and this is like a more of like a point and click adventure style kind of thing. I'm interested in it for sure. It's Annapurna's publishing it. Everybody loves them. They've been on a hot streak lately. So, it's one I'm interested in. I feel like I need to see more of it before I can like fully commit to it being for me or not. But pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. I love these kind of like, I don't know, just mysteries that seem to take place in some mansion. That always gets me. So, yeah, I like the look of it.
Is this one you think you'll pick up, or are you gonna keep an eye on it for now?
I think I'll keep my eye on it for now and see how I feel about it later.
Nice. Another one that we got announced is one weirdly, I never really thought it was gonna come, but like it.
I definitely didn't think it was going to come. They shut down like Super Bomberman R Online like 2 weeks ago, and I thought that's it. They are done with Super Bomberman. We're never going to get another one again. Super Bomberman R didn't do great as a launch title for the Switch, and then Super Bomberman R2 comes out of the woodwork from somewhere.
I'm the only kid in the neighborhood playing Super Bomberman. I was sad when I heard they were shutting down online because I turn it on every once in a while just to play a little bit of Bomberman. I won once, so I was happy to do that. That was exciting. But after they announced they were shutting it down, I was like, I really hope this isn't the end for it. And then when they announced this, I was just like, yes, maybe they'll like do some of the online things as well. I think what works about online is like you can go download it now and just play it and just have fun with it. It's got like some pay to win types of things, some costumes, but other than that, like if you just ignore all that and just play Bomberman, it's fun. It's a good time. So a second one, the new modes for it look pretty cool, like the little castle things. But
the like 15 player mode where it's like one player is like defending a castle. Like that seems pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. My one thing with it is just like nobody's gonna play this with me. I'm the only one who's gonna get it. I'm never gonna find friends who will play it.
You can get your community to play with you, I'm sure.
I mean, maybe, but I imagine you'll have
you.
to buy this one instead of like, just download it for free. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely will.
I'd be down to play it because my whole thing was I really wanted to play Super Bomberman R. I like Bomberman, but I didn't have anybody to play it with at launch, and it was like, all right, well, I'm not going to get it then.
But did the original Super Bomberman R didn't have online, did it? It was Super Bomberman R Online that had the online.
I think it did. It did have online, but it also had like, a home local multiplayer, which I did a little bit of. I got to play that with some with a brother-in-law of mine, and we had a good time with it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, if you're down, I'm down. I'll play some Bomberman.
I'm down. I love Bomberman.
Yeah, I definitely do too. So Trendy Brendy, this is one of the ones that Brendy was excited about and wrote in. He sent a screenshot, which I'm going to pull up right now for the folks on YouTube. And it is a picture of all the different Bombermen, and it says, everyone pick a Bomberman color, who y'all jive with.
They all look like Powerpuff Girls to me. Like the one on the far
which is
left
great.
And the far right, 100% look like Powerpuff Girls.
So which one do you feel like is the vibe though for you, Steve?
Do you know what? I'm gonna go for the cutesy one on the right.
The blue one?
Where, yeah, the blue one.
Light blue one.
I like the canonical like Bomberman. When I think of Bomberman, it's the one on the left with the blue and the the white hat and stuff. But maybe the one in two from the left. The sleepy one's me before I've had my coffee, and then after I've had my coffee, I turn into the one on the right.
So both the blue ones.
Yeah, both the blue ones.
I like how it says the 8 Bomberman brothers, but 2 of them like have like feminine features.
Oh my god, love that then. Absolutely love that. We've got some femme guys in here.
I guess so, yeah.
Bomberman brothers. Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
They're all brothers. It's like Super Mario Brothers. Everybody in that universe is a brother.
What about you, Chuy? What do you think?
So, historically, I've always played as Green Bomber. But I think I do a lot of improv, and people would say I'm yellow bomber.
I was gonna say, I
do,
feel like the yellow one feels like your energy to me for some reason.
I do arm things at improv all the time, so
He looks like he's like dancing, you know. He's like mid like skank or something, just like yeah. He's throwing his arms up in the air. He's having a good time.
So yeah, I'm yellow bomber here.
Yeah, I like that one. I would say much like Steve, there's two that kind of resonate with me, and I feel like it's like my yin and yang, and it's like the black edgy one with the star belt who looks like he's like doing a Shadow the Hedgehog pose, and then it's the pink one on the other side with the heart belt and the heart top. Those feel like my two aesthetics, you know? So I feel like I'm going to play either of them depending on how I'm feeling that day, you know? I think that's the move. All right. So after Bomberman, we got a look at one that I think was a surprise to most folks. I certainly hadn't heard about it. We've got...
Unless you were on Twitter earlier in the day. Then, oh no, not the Mega Man one. That one was,
no. The other one leaked, but not this guy. Yeah. Mega Man Battle Network, I don't know if it's all 10, but 10 of them.
Do you know what? It is all 10. So, it's all 10. Sorry. They showed them all on the screen, right?
What I meant to say is, I was gonna say all 10. Oh,
you don't know if there are more
there
than
might
10
be more.
Battle Network games.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
I know there was a lot of these games. This was a very popular thing for a while. And there was like an anime and everything. Like I was interested in the very beginning of this trend, and then it existed for like 10 years of kids after me. So I don't know what's up with that. But we have 10 Mega Man Battle Network games from the GBA, all coming to Nintendo Switch on one cartridge in 2023. You can also get each of them individually. I'm sorry, not each. You can get them digitally as two different packs, like a Volume 1 and 2, like they did with the Mega Man Legacy Collection. So this is a big one, I think, for a lot of folks, especially folks a little bit younger than us, because this series was very popular with, like, you know, Zoomers, like kids a little bit younger than us. I remember this being a really popular moment for the Mega Man franchise.
Yeah. This one, it takes me back to riding the school bus, and I played a lot of Pokemon back then, did a lot of trades, but one kid, he'd switch from like Pokemon to Mega Man, and specifically like the Battle Network games, and I'd just sit there watching, and I'm like, man, this game looks like pretty dang fun. I want to play this at some point. So, yeah, I have just like fond memories of just like being half asleep on the bus early in the morning and being like, man, I want to play this Mega Man game. This looks so different from other Mega Man games. I've struggled with those in the past, but this looks cool.
Do you think you'll pick it up?
It's definitely one of the thing that's confusing about it. I don't think they were very clear on how they're releasing this, but they kind of mentioned that it's going to be like a 2-part collection, but maybe there's one that's like got them all. So
my understanding was that they were releasing a physical version that has them all, and then if you want them digitally, it's Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Gotcha.
I think on that physical one they did of the Mega Man, you got one of them on the cartridge, and then the other one was like a digital download, and they've pulled that shit with Resident Evil as well, and it drives everyone crazy.
The Mega Man Legacy Collection did work that way, I remember.
That's so Capcom.
Do you know, I was kicking myself. I was absolutely kicking myself when this was announced. Do you remember, like 2 weeks ago when we were doing our predictions? And I was like, Capcom's been awfully quiet. They've not had anything other than Resident Evil and Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe we'll see a new Mega Man game.
I did see that.
And like, they fucking announced this. It was one of my risky picks, and you were like, you're crazy. They're not going to announce anything Mega Man. Granted, it's not a new Mega Man game.
Yeah, I wouldn't have given you the points on that one anyway, though.
It is close as hell.
Because you said a new Mega Man game, and I was like, nah, no way. But
it's what Mega Man Open World. That's the next one.
You know.
Yeah, in a post-apocalyptic world, Unreal 5 engine, pop Mega Man.
We already had Mega Man Legends. Give us Mega Man Legends 3, guys. Come on. Jesus.
Yeah, I did some research because I'd not heard of this series before. I don't really know much about Mega Man in general, but there's a Mega Man Catan game called
What?
Rockman.exe.
Nice.
And
Yo,
they'd released it. It's only in Japan, but it's all Mega Man Battle Network themed. And I need to find a copy of that game, even though I don't read Japanese. I need to find a copy of that game.
that's amazing.
Awesome. You know the rules well enough. You can just play it without reading
Yeah,
it.
you absolutely could just play Catan without knowing what it is.
Did you guys used to play online? Are we gonna have to start doing that together?
Catan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll play online.
Yeah, I
used
love
to just play with
Catan.
friends online.
I play Catan in VR all the time. It's wonderful.
Nice.
I'll do that. Yeah, I'm in.
Cool.
I love a good board game. So the next up, we got Pac-Man World Re-Pac coming on August 26th, 2022. This is interesting because I know that this is a thing that people were asking for, and like, do y'all have any relationship with these games? Like any of the like 3D?
None.
I don't
Yes.
remember which one I had. There was one on the GameCube, and I don't remember if it was this one, but I played some of it, and I have like a vague memory of a 3D platformer Pac-Man game. But whenever Pac-Man's like this, like the way he looks in Smash, I gotta say, it kind of freaks me out.
You know, they look like, you know, the M&M's characters that they
Yes.
use to sell those sweets. When Pac-Man characters are in 3D, they just remind me 100% of those, and it's creepy,
Yes.
and I don't like it.
Like,
Yeah.
is this game good,
I see.
Chewy?
Okay, so my relationship with this game is I would go to Mexico every summer. My family would go, my cousins sometimes would go too and visit, and we'd go visit all the same people. And they would stay in one house, we'd stay in the other right next door. And they would bring their PlayStation and hook it up to the TV there. And this was also my relationship with like Resident Evil very early on, but they would basically be either playing Resident Evil, the first one, or Pac-Man World.
Okay.
Like those were the two games they had on there. And so that was the bulk of my experience. I was like, cool, this is like 3D Pac-Man. I like that. I was into it.
I think
But that's
maybe I
just kid
played
me.
Pac-Man World. Yeah, I think it's 2. I think that's the one that I played.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, I think this was like the first one.
This was the
like
one
just
on
PS1
PlayStation, yeah.
Pac-Man World.
This is the GameCube one they're remaking. It's a
Oh,
repack
okay.
of that.
Oh.
So it's the same people that did the remaster of Katamari Damacy. They did Katamari Damacy Reroll.
Oh.
They're doing the remaster of this one.
And it's the GameCube one, so it's Pac-Man World 2?
I don't know if it's World 2, but I know it's the GameCube one. It's the one
They
that
like
they're
games
redoing.
that roll.
Wait, that doesn't make any
Pac-Man
sense.
rolls.
No. It's definitely the one from the PlayStation. I'm looking at it right here. Fully mastered remake, Pac-Man World Re-Pac
Oh, okay.
schedule. Okay. I was like, that would be so strange. But whatever. Yeah, I mean, okay. God bless for the folks that are excited about that. I like 3D platformers. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot. But
Oh, have you seen the like pre-order bundle for the physical version?
no.
You can get like a
No.
limited edition like Pac-Man chrome figure thing with like all of the ghosts. That's pretty cool.
All right.
Make a Pac-Man controller, you cowards. Just a big round Pac-Man.
Waka, waka,
Maybe
waka.
the buttons are inside his mouth. Like it's all three-dimensional. Buttons are in the mouth.
I love it. All right, so then our next game was another indie title. This one comes from Gearbox, actually, and it is being published by Gearbox, I should say. And the game's called Blanc, and it is a game where it's going to be console exclusive on Switch as well, coming 2023. And the game follows a deer fawn and a fox or a wolf cub, and they are like kind of lost in this like harsh frozen tundra, and it's got this like monochromatic, like everything is white or black or like a gradient, and really, really striking art style. And it kind of reminds me of that Joseph Fares game, Two Brothers, where it's like you're solving environmental puzzles by being like, I'm the wolf and I can move in this way, and I'm the deer and I can move in that way. And it feels like it has like an almost like like Fox and the Hound or like type.
Oh my god, that's the movie I was trying to think of. I thought it was
Yeah.
Bambi because of the fucking deer, and I was like, it's like the Fox and the Hound Disney movie, and I hope at the end he doesn't have to.
I hope it doesn't end that way.
Kill his friend.
Yeah,
I hope it does.
You're a monster. You're a monster, Chuy.
I love a good tragedy. It looks like this one's also going to be kind of like cooperative, sort of like It Takes Two style.
Yeah, it said that it can be played locally, online, or locally or online, 2-player co-op. So it seems like it'll be like Two Brothers, where like you can play single player, but it's kind of, I think, more intended for you to play with a partner.
That makes sense. I like the look of this one.
Me too.
A lot. Yeah, visually, I was just like, oh, this is great.
It's got a good style.
I love Jackie's a real sucker for like cross species friendships, two animals who are getting along. So yeah, it's adorable.
I'm very pro, very pro. So then we got a look at Return to Monkey Island, which of course, had not. This isn't our first announcement of it, but I feel like this is like our first like real look at it.
Oh yeah, first proper look at it. We hadn't really seen anything other than I think the name and the fact that we were getting a new game from Ron Gilbert for the first time in like decades, which is nice to see. I'm really excited for this. And console exclusive, or at least a launch exclusive, right, for Switch again, which seems to be a theme with the games that they were showcasing here.
I think that seems to be the case with a lot of the games that they showcase. It's like usually they only showcase it if they have some kind of, exclusivity window or something like that. But yeah, I mean, this is a big one, right? Obviously, if you're a fan of point and click adventure, Monkey Island is like kind of, it's like one of the most legendary, if not the most legendary point and click adventure, right? So, to see it coming back with the original creator and, getting a kind of fresh coat of paint and doing something, new is really cool, and it's got a good style to it. I like point and clicks, but I'm not like I don't know. I'm like a casual point and click person, right? So like Monkey Island has never really been something that I've had a lot of affinity for. It was something that like one of my best friends is like a huge point and click nerd and loves Monkey Island. So I don't know. Like, I don't know how approachable this will be as like a new player, right? But
I think it'll be pretty approachable. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. I hope this just got some, fan service in there for people who have played the originals, but the originals have got to be coming to Switch at some point, right? If they're not there already, I don't know if they are.
They might be already. I feel like I remember some of those like Scrum games coming to Switch not that long ago.
Yeah.
So,
at what point and clicks have you played then? If you've not played Monkey Island.
So as a kid, I played a lot of the Humongous Entertainment games, which are all point and clicks. Putt, Freddy Fish, Fatty Bear, Pajama Sam, Spy Fox. Obviously, those are a lot easier, right? Because they're kid friendly. But I played them when I was a kid, so they were probably appropriately difficult when I was like 4 years old. And then like I think beyond that, like I played a little bit of Day of the Tentacle, but I kind of bounced off of it. And then it's like a lot of the more like modern ones, like the Telltale stuff and like the what was that? The Double Fine one, Broken Age. I played like probably half of that.
Yeah, I didn't really jive with like Broken
yeah,
Age. I wanted to, but it didn't click with me. I would love you to check out Broken Sword. Check the one out the Sun Switch if you want to play it there.
Okay,
it's a great time. They're wonderful games. They're my favorite point and click series, I think. And also the Blade Runner Enhanced Edition is finally out, which means you can play it on console. It's not great at the moment. It's not in a great state, but they're working on fixing it, and it is the first time you can play that game on a console. It's a new story following a different detective in the Blade Runner universe. That's so it's really cool.
That's interesting.
That's cool. I just looked it up. It doesn't look like any of the Monkey Island games are on Switch right now. So
Okay. Have to play them on Steam Deck, I guess. So then moving into what I think is, if we're agreeing that Persona is the biggest news, I think this was one of the other bigger ones. Was getting kind of seemingly probably our last major look, aside from the presentation that'll be going on today, if you're listening to this now. Mario+Rabbids Sparks of Hope coming on
I
October
think it's
20th.
yesterday. If they're listening to this now.
I'm putting it out early though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it'll be
Today.
at some point today. Yeah, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, that's when the presentation's going on. All right, so we've got pre-orders just around the corner for this one too. We got a pretty significant extended look at this. They talked a little bit about like the kind of like changes that have been made to the battle system, including this like big thing where you can kind of do free movement before you take your turn. So you're able to...
I want to know more about that, because it just, to me, it feels like that breaks the concept
How it
that they
originally
came up
played,
with in the
right?
first game. Yeah, it's just like that's totally different. Like the whole challenge for me in the first game was like, how do I get there and do all of this stuff when I've got like limited movements and moves and things, but I want to be able to go and collect stuff. Whereas it looks like you can explore and pick up a bunch of like the little star bits or whatever from Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
And collect all of those before you even attack someone.
Yeah, I think I'm reserving judgment on it because I'm imagining that this is like very early in the game when they're trying to like introduce the concept in a base level, and that game gets pretty hard. The original gets pretty hard near the end. So I would hope that they're going to take advantage of that to be like, hey, you have this tool that makes it way easier to win fights, so we're going to make them a lot harder.
Yeah.
I hope that's the trade-off.
They had mentioned this kind of like free movement before, but this was the first time they like showed it actually like in practice, and it does, and it seemed to make a little bit more sense to me, where it seems like everybody's got this circle that's their range of movement and they can move within that. I kind of wonder how that will get limited in ways, because in the first game I really like to use, I think it was Rabid Mario, who would like every time dash through somebody, they would like also leave an explosion there. And so I like to use him a lot to just do like quick dash damage to everybody before I shot them. But I wonder if they're going to be like, oh, you can't dash this many characters in one run, like maybe that's limited in some way. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how it'll play in the end.
Yeah, and like I was interested by like the way that they showed the resolution of it, where like you could like grab the bomb and like toss it while it was active. Like I am interested to see how they try to implement like more real time stuff with the turn based thing, because that can obviously be really cool when it's done well, right? Like Final Fantasy VII being a famous example of that, right? Like the active battle system. So I don't know.
And I'll need to go back and play the Donkey Kong DLC finally, because I bought that a while ago, but then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait till I'm a little closer to this new game. But I guess my plan is probably play the Donkey Kong one when this one comes out, and eventually buy it for like $20, like the gold edition when it's on sale.
They go so cheap. Plus, like October is stacked. Like we did not need another game for October at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already really, really tough, I think, to keep up with everything that's going to be coming later this year. So I think this is one I'll probably end up waiting on as well. But I really did enjoy the first one, even though I never got around to finishing it. So I'm certainly interested in this one quite a bit.
Oh, man. The end game in that one's like delightful. So many surprises, so difficult. You should go back to it. But you might have trouble with it now that you've been away from it.
I know. That was the problem. I tried to pick it up a while ago because the reason I never finished it was like I had borrowed it from a friend, and it took me a really long time to get started. And by the time I started it, I was like, I remember eventually they were like, oh hey, like can I get that back at some point? Like and I had like taken a break from it, and I was like, I've had this game for like a year and a half, I should give it back to you.
God.
This is on me. And then when I tried to come back to it, I was just like, oh, dude, like I got so far, and now I'm just like, I don't remember how to play, and I feel like I need to like start over, but I don't really want to do that.
Why games need that like refresh. Like Elden Ring did it. It's the first game I've experienced that does it. You can just go back to the training level and just like refresh your memory and do it again. I just wish there was a menu option to just be like, show me the ropes again. Show me how the hell I play this game again.
Yeah, remind me what I did 6 months ago, right? So next up, we got a look at Little Noah, Scion of Paradise. This was the game that Smilky called out. This is from Cygames, the team behind Dragalia Lost. It is a 2D strategy game. It is out today, actually. So if this one caught your eye, you can go check it out right now.
Yeah, I thought it looked cute, and it's only like $15, so kind of a cheaper title out there.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you can definitely see the Dragalia influence where it's like you're collecting like companion type characters that you can use in like almost like a deck building kind of format. It seems like where like you can kind of summon them for like assists, and it's like very like about racking up damage and getting like combos and kind of doing like that whole action game thing, but in like a more 2D plane. So I don't know. It seems interesting. It didn't necessarily seem like my jam, but I also feel like it is the kind of game I could see myself maybe sinking time into as well. I don't know. I'm interested to hear what people think of it and like what the general temperature check is on it.
Yeah.
So then next up we had Railgrade, which is like a train-based management sim where they're like you're just kind of like building out tracks to move around resources and like help this like city get resources where it needs it and like build bigger projects. And what do you think about this one, Steve? You usually like this kind of game.
I liked it. I was extremely surprised when they said it was by Epic Games, and I was just like, what? I was like, was this the thing that they made as like a toy when they were busy porting Unreal Engine to the Switch or something? And they're just like, okay, let's flesh this out and turn it into an actual game. And then we ended up with this train game. I like the look of it. It's probably not one I'm going to end up picking up. I do like this style of game. You're right. There's been a couple of games I played recently. Like I played one of the demos in Steam Next Fest that we spoke about over on the Flip Screen Games podcast, called Railbound, which I really liked, and that's more of a puzzle style with this. And I really love Tracks, which is toy trains, wooden toy trains. And you can get that on Switch. It's really fun. And you just, there's like puzzles you have to solve. Like you have to go from one station to another. And you're in like a kid's bedroom and you're picking up all these like wooden people. They want to go from one station to another. And you have to build out the tracks and solve the puzzles. And I recommend that one. But by all accounts, this one looks fun. So if you played Tracks and you liked it, then maybe pick this one up.
I literally just picked up 2 days ago my own little train simulator game. It was one that came out a while ago. I think it was published by Nintendo, but I got the A-Train All Aboard Tourism. It's kind of more like, there's a lot to it. It's like a city management simulation, but yeah. While normally I would have been interested in this, I was like, oh, I literally just got a game that's going to fill this need for me. Because it was on sale. It's on that big sale going on right now. And I was like, oh, I played the demo to this, liked it a lot. I'm going to check this out now.
Makes sense.
Yep.
All right. So then next up, we got RPG Time, The Legend of Wright, which is coming out on August 18th. It's by a team called Deskworks. The game is already available on Xbox and PC, but here it is coming to Switch. The game follows a young kid named Kenta who is 10 years old and wants to be a game designer and designs games in this like little like sketchbook, and like that's where the game takes place, is like as you flip the pages, and Kenta will like draw. They like one of the examples is like drawing in a treasure chest and then like erasing part of the like area that you needed to get there, and like there's all these like cool little interactions with the world that way. And everything has this like hand-drawn like pencil sketch kind of style to it and everything. I think this looks really cute. It's another one where it's like, I kind of want to go like seek out and see what people think of it, because if it's got a good reaction, it's one I could definitely see myself getting into. But it's also one of those games where it's like, do I really like this? Like, am I interested in this game, or do I just really like the art style? And
Yeah,
like that can
I get
Yeah.
that.
But I think it's a really cool idea.
It
I love
is.
the story that it's, about a kid who wants to be a game designer. There's like loads of meta stuff. There's like, references. Like one of the notes in the book is like, will Wright make this, kind of thing, and like cool references to
That's funny.
the video game industry and stuff. I had never heard of this game, and I didn't realize it was out on Xbox and PC. So that's the kind of thing I love about Nintendo Directs, is even if they're not new to their platform, you often find new games that you'd never heard of.
This one really reminded me of these like funky puzzle and maze books that I had growing up. I never. I'm going to try to look for them when I go back to my parents' place at some point, if I ever go back there. But yeah, it just gave me those vibes, and it just reminded me of like notebooks that I had filled with like mazes that I've drawn myself and stuff through classes. So yeah, I like that. I got a bit nostalgic watching this one.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very cute idea. So I'm interested to see if it ends up being one for me. So then we got another look at Sonic Frontiers, and
Just when you thought it couldn't look any worse.
it's very interesting. So I'm gonna rewind here real quick for the video viewer. If you look at the flowers, like you can literally see them like popping
you
in.
you can see visual pop in everywhere. There's like
It's rough.
no anti-aliasing. The resolution's clearly like stupidly low, and
Yeah,
like
it's
that's on
very
top
compressed.
of the fact that I don't think the gameplay of this game looks fun or at all like what I want from a Sonic title, and it feels like yet another miss for Sonic, and I just don't understand why it's just been. And this will now be the third game in a row that will have launched with issues. Yeah, like since Sonic Mania, I don't feel like we've had anything decent from the Sonic team.
I mean, that wasn't made by Sonic Team, so that makes sense. So I'll say this. I think this is the best the game's looked. Visually, it looks bad, but gameplay-wise, like, there was more focus on, like, combat and, like, showing, like, those little mini levels that are, like, more, like, traditional Sonic levels, and, like, getting into some of the, like, combo stuff that made it look more like an action game and, like, kind of, like, something akin to, like, what, like, Platinum maybe would do. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be good, but I think it looked a lot less aimless than I feel like it's looked in some of the other extended.
I think that's trailer magic. Magic right
that's
there.
Maybe true, but I think this is the best showing the game has had, actually, which is saying something because it, like, visually is definitely the worst it's looked. But
oh yeah, like this. It's a technical mess, and like I feel like this should have been a title that didn't come to Switch at all. If it looks like this and it's in the state that it's in this trailer when it launches,
they're never going to do that.
It should not have come because
they want the money, though. Like that's the whole like the whole business model for like Sonic Team is like half baking a game and selling it to kids, and like it sucks, but
that's trash. That's absolutely trash. Like. Follow Nintendo's lead. Like, don't put a game out unless it's polished, because you risk burning your brand.
No, you don't.
It's going to get to the point where people. I feel like it's going to get to the point where people are just like not interested in even checking it out.
That's the thing, though. It won't, though, because like Sonic is like evergreen in that way, because there's always a new generation of kids who don't know any better when they're playing a shitty game, and they're just like, oh, I like Sonic. And then there's the Sonic fans that will convince themselves that it's good or don't care and will play it anyway, and like, I don't know, I mean, but we'll see.
Described Pokemon.
Yeah, pretty much, right? It's just like Pokemon has redeeming qualities that Sonic doesn't have.
That's true. This whole game looks like it's just some sort of like developer's playground. Like they're just messing with it, adding stuff. Like,
And it's like, I don't know.
This all looks pre-game to me. Like this isn't the game.
I'm gonna reserve judgment because like there's been a lot of people went hands on with it at Summer Games Fest, and I heard a lot of people say that it was trash, and I heard a lot of people say that it was actually surprisingly good. But surprisingly good for a Sonic game doesn't really mean that much to me. I don't know. You know, it's like, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. But is anyone really surprised when a Sonic game comes out and is a dud anymore, right? Like, it's kind of like, whatever. It'll either be as good as any other Sonic game or it won't. And, all right, whatever.
I've had a sheer drop-off in interest. Like, when they first announced it, I was like, you know what? Yes, thank you. Give me this Sonic game. This is the first time I'm going to be hyped for a Sonic game in my life.
I was too, and I think it was off the back of Kirby being good in that like post-apocalyptic setting, and I was just like, you know what? Kirby worked. They could do the same thing with Sonic.
They could.
And it just didn't happen.
They won't though. They won't. No.
Yeah.
That's you know. I think Sonic Team frankly should be dissolved. And the IP should be given to somebody else. Yes, their on base percentage is just hot garbage. But whatever, you know, we'll see what happens, right? Like, I think trying to like judge whether or not a Sonic game is going to be good before it comes out is like, it's like an exercise in futility, right? Like, let's see what happens, I guess. So then the next one, I'm gonna pull the curtain back a little bit here. So in our doc, Chuy made a list of every game and for all of them made notes of like yes, no, or like somewhat interested, whatever, right? And like gave kind of like a 3-point system of like, is this a yes, a no, or a maybe? This next game, Disney Dreamlight Valley, Chuy wrote all caps, sadly interested. Which I gotta say, I understand. So this game is a like your standard like life
Disney life sim, basically,
life
right?
sim type game, and like the whole it's made by Gameloft, and the whole elevator pitch is that you're in this like neighborhood where all these Disney and Pixar characters live, and it used to be this magical place, and then this like bad thing happened, and all of their memories have been kind of erased, and you have to help them kind of like reclaim their memories, and like you can become friends with both heroes and villain characters, and there's like all these little boxes for you to check. Like they had a mini game of you like fishing with Olaf and cooking with Remy from Ratatouille, and like rebuilding like kind of this downtown Disney-esque area that kind of looks like Main Street USA, and yeah, it's interesting.
Which I think is why I'm interested. Maybe I just need to go to Disneyland because it's been a while.
But something I thought was interesting about this, because I'm with you, Chuy. Like I could see this being interesting, sure. But it's early access. There's going to be an early access available September 6th on Switch.
First time.
That's the first time. Yeah, right? Yeah. Like that's pretty crazy, Yeah.
It's I have nothing good to say about this game. I think the concept looks like like the Truman Show. Nobody else knows what's going on apart from you, and you're going to spoil, like basically corrupt them. Like they're all blissfully ignorant, and you're going in there to be like, no, here's your memory back. Wasn't life terrible? Do you remember when like you hated your sister, and like because you've got powers to like freeze people and shit? Like, can you just imagine some of the horrible things that happen in these Disney movies?
I don't think you know the plot to Frozen.
Not really, no.
Honestly, don't watch it. Disney, I feel, looked at like all of Nintendo's successful games. They're like, all right, Mario Kart did really well. Animal Crossing did really well. Let's just put out those games, but Disney, and that's what we're gonna do.
I mean, I think it's probably a winning recipe, if I'm honest.
What's the third best-selling game for Nintendo right now? That's the next Disney game.
This is essentially what if Kingdom Hearts was a life simulator, So
have they done a Smash Bros? Yeah, because like I know Nickelodeon did. Have we not had a Disney Smash Bros?
No.
No,
That's
That's got to
overdue.
be next then,
I
hasn't
don't-
it? That's well overdue.
Warner Brothers
yeah.
is doing it, right? They're gonna have to step up at some point.
I wonder how they'd feel about that. I think some Disney characters like could get away with being in it, but I guess it did kind of like the Epic Mickey thing, right?
I mean,
And
if
that's
you
got
think,
kind
if
of
you
like
think
Mickey beating some stuff around.
that's the thing, though, right? Like Mickey Mouse is very much like a character who I think like has like Superman vibes, where it's like everyone's because of like conservatism in like the 80s that was like very much like, oh, we gotta like button like this character up and make, but like all the old Mickey cartoons, he's fighting people all the time,
That's
like
true, yeah. He's
in
Cuphead in
Kingdom
those.
Hearts, he's got a sword. Like yeah, why not, right?
Is it a sword or is it a key?
It's a key
Like
blade.
Cloud. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Keyblade,
Keyblade.
okay.
You can stab
It's the
somebody
Xeno
with it.
blade.
So it's basically a sword. All right,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a sword that looks like a key.
Fair enough. I feel like I would want all of their franchises, not just Disney there. Like I'd want Star Wars in there. I'd want Marvel in there. And I'd want to be able to play as like Darth Vader and like Chokehold Mickey Mouse.
Now you're just describing Fortnite.
All right. Okay, so I've pulled up the list because I was interested. I was like, okay, what's next for Disney here based on Nintendo's top-selling games? Mario Kart, we got it. Animal Crossing, we got it. Next is Smash. You guys are right on that. The one following that, Breath of the Wild. So
Epic Mickey
could be
3.
interesting. Epic Mickey 3. But the one after that, I want them to do more than anything. Pokemon. That's Pokemon Sword and Shield are the next one. But it's Lilo and Stitch, and the creatures you're collecting are all the experiments.
Oh, like the cartoon? Oh,
Yeah, like the cartoon.
Buddy, I'm in. I loved that
Writes
show.
itself.
I
It
loved
writes
that.
itself.
I loved that. And they're doing a live action remake of Lilo and Stitch. What better time than now?
Are they?
They really are, and I
avoid-
don't want that at all. But hey, that's the world we live in.
We don't need it.
No, stop doing it.
I don't think
please.
we needed any of the live action remakes.
Nope.
Did,
We
did
really
anyone
didn't.
No, we
really
really
enjoy Lion
We
King?
barely needed the animated ones, if you're asking me. But Lilo and Stitch gets a pass for me.
All right, okay. Relax over there, all right? We can all talk shit about Disney as a company all we want, but they've made some animated classics. All right, let's not sling
fair.
stones here, okay?
That's fair. That's fair. I'll say that.
The Lion King is great, okay? That's all.
Yeah.
That's
Of course. I don't understand how they got all those animals to do that in that live action one, though.
You got that Disney money, man. That's what Animal Kingdom was built for, so they could train the next generation of animal actors.
It's all making sense.
All right. So next up, we got Live Alive, which is the remake of the Square Enix classic. It's got a demo out that you can play today that will let you play three of the different intros. Like if you're not familiar with Live Alive, it's very much like Octopath Traveler, where there's like a bunch of main characters and they all have like different stories that eventually converge. They all take place in like different time periods. So you can
And
Go ahead.
and Nintendo really wants you to play this game. They've been pumping it so much on Twitter and everywhere, and they're like, "Here's the demo.
Are they
Play it now."
publishing it again?
I think they are. I want to say they are.
I'm not sure.
At least in somewhere. I don't know if that's different in Japan. I think
Yeah,
it
it
might have
probably
been
is
here.
different in Japan because they didn't publish any of the Square games that they previously published in Japan either.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so the three that you can play as of today are Imperial China, Twilight of Edo Japan, and The Distant Future. And you can play the beginning of all three of those chapters, and then all of the data will transfer over when you buy the game. So typical of the Square demo thing.
I might check it out then. But if it's anything like Project Triangle, I'm going to be like bored through walls of text. So I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go and see.
Steve doesn't like to read. It's a big problem.
Oh, come on. Come on. You tried that demo, right?
No, I didn't. I never got around to it.
Oh, God. It was a real snooze fest. I wanted to go in and see like what was cool about the game, right? The cool new turn-based gameplay that they'd done with the weird triangle stuff. And you didn't get to any of that for like 15 minutes before it explained the entire story to you.
That
you
was
just
him fast
reading.
forwarding through it too.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. Anyway, that's a whole other episode.
All right, so then next up we got Doraemon, Story of Seasons, Friends of the Great Kingdom, coming later this year. Trendy Brenny wrote in about this one and said, what a partner showcase. So excited about Bomberman and Pac-Man, but I gotta sing the praises for Doraemon real quick. For background info, I've attempted Stardew Valley twice now and never gotten past the first month. I don't think it's directly a fault of the game itself or the genre, but because I'm too inexperienced with games like it to form my own goals. I picked up the first Doraemon Story of Seasons game because I love the IP it's based on, and because it's more geared towards younger kids. The long tutorial provided was exactly what I needed to understand these games. Gotta finish the first one, but I'm excited to see the next title. Hoping we get some more future gadget gimmicks because the ones I found in the first game, fast travel with a door that opens up to where you want it to, snacks that give you infinite stamina for a limited time, and a pet rain cloud that waters crops for you, were all super fun and interesting. Future Persona fan, Trendy Brendy.
I like this one. I have the first one. I haven't gotten to play it yet, but I was like, oh, it's on sale for super cheap. I want to give it a go. So it's one that I will probably check out the first one when this one comes out and then just like wait till it inevitably goes on sale because that's how all the Bandai Namco games go too. Yeah, never buy them full price.
You know, I want to say, Brandy, please go back and try Stardew Valley again. I think it
takes a
does
while.
give you direction. It just takes a while. You will constantly get things coming to your mailbox, but you just got to go and explore the town and talk to people. And that's like, I think the point of the game is it's like you've moved into a town, you don't know anyone. So you can either just clear up and people will come around and drop things off and talk to you, or you go explore the town. But I feel like once you get the community center, or if you choose to go with the JoJo Mart, there's stuff to do. Like you've got a clear goal that you're working towards because you want to finish all those bundles, and that will give you like a sense of purpose and something to work towards all the time. And that game's phenomenal. Like I feel like that is the best of the genre, and everyone should persist with it and check it out.
I'll confess this too. I struggled with Stardew when I first got onto it, but I'm also like incredibly stubborn, which a lot of people. I choose when to be stubborn. I can control it a lot more, but sometimes I'm just like, no, I will make it through this and I'll figure it out. I'd say it took me about 20 hours before like Stardew clicked with me. 20 hours I gave it. And then after that, I easily put in another 80 hours because my file's way over 100 now. So
it took me a while too. I remember I picked it up on PC before it came to Switch, and I put like maybe 10 hours into it and was like, this is cool, and like was getting into it, but was I think also kind of struggling to penetrate it a little bit. And then it was on Switch where I really was like, okay, like I'm into this now. But I did a really bad job of actually engaging with that game's story. I never like did any of it. I was just like totally focused on maximizing the economy of my farm and being like, how do I get more efficient and have new stuff and, you know, have more animals.
Oh, you didn't even get a cute spouse. You didn't go on any of the dates.
I did that. And I was friends with some of the people in the town, but I didn't rebuild the community center or any of that stuff.
You monster. But the community center you need in order to maximize your profits. Like that's the good thing. They're so intrinsically linked because in order to get the greenhouse, you need a community center. And without a greenhouse, you can't grow crops and plants all year round. And you can't get the trees that give you the most expensive things.
I also feel like that's the tutorial for the game too. Like that's like, oh, these are all the things that I can do in here.
Yes.
So.
All right, so next up, we got another look at Minecraft Legends. I don't really think we need to talk about this again. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about, right? Where like we saw this game for the first time like 2 weeks ago, and now they're like, "Here's more of it. It's coming to Switch." Okay, I didn't need this to be.
This was the first time though that I kind of got a grasp on what the fuck the game was, because when Microsoft showed it, I was just like, "What is this? Like, don't we already have like a dungeon crawler?" But this is just like it's like a Zelda. It's like a Zelda game, like an open world. You know, I go around and I smash things down and I kill them and I explore and in the Minecraft universe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't have anything new to say about it after this trailer. You know, it's like it's a game that's going to appeal a huge amount to kids and get them interested in this genre. So good stuff. You know, just whatever. So then next up, we got a look at Dragon Quest Treasures, which I thought was pretty interesting. It's a new Dragon Quest spinoff. It's got a launch date for December 9th. I thought this looked pretty interesting. It's like you do the whole like taming the monsters thing. They all have a bunch of different abilities that you can use to explore the overworld. Like one of the examples was like using a flit, which is like the bat slime looking guy, so that you could like fly across like a gap or something like that. And like the whole loop of it is like you getting these like bigger, stronger monsters that can help you traverse the world and collecting treasure, and then like building out like a base and, you know, kind of like advancing that sort of thing. So it's like feels like very much akin to like a mixture of the whole, you know, life sim town thing, but with like the monster taming adventure. I don't know. Like that is appealing to me. I feel like something about that is like I could see myself getting into this for sure.
Yeah, I tend to like Dragon Quest as an idea. It's a series that I haven't played yet, but have been wanting to. Because JRPGs tend to click with me. But I was trying the other day Dragon Quest Builders 2. I think when they had the trial on Switch, and then I was like, oh, I could just get this on Game Pass later. This seems cool. And
Dragon
I had a
Quest
good time
Builders
with it.
is the only one I've ever really gotten into. It's like Minecraft with a purpose. Like there's actually something to do in it, and it's nice. It's you know, Minecraft's one of those ones where it's kind of like Stardew Valley, I guess, but it's really free. Whereas Dragon Quest, you've got quests to complete, so it's quite fun. I liked the look of this. I loved the fact that one of the treasures was the Sands of Time, and I really hope that was a poke at Prince of Persia. Like, yeah, I loved it.
I this is one I'm very much interested in as someone who's like kind of casually played Dragon Quest. Like, maybe this will be the thing that gets me back in. So we had a sizzle reel of a bunch of games that are already out or are coming soon. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes out now. No thanks. No Man's Sky coming October 7th.
I need to talk for a second about how good that game looks. Like if that was Switch footage, which I think it was,
it's not going to play on Switch.
Oh my god, it looks so good in the trailer.
Yeah, but it's not going to be good. Like it just isn't. You know, it's like it's going to be like Fall Guys. It's going to be like, oh, how great would this be on Switch? And it's going to have a low frame rate and bad shadow and draw. I don't know, man. Like I hope I'm wrong. I would not get your hopes up. I feel like it's going to be one of those games that comes out and we're going to be like, oh, it's really not great on Switch. So,
yeah,
I just want to set your expectations right now. That's the vibe I'm getting from that one. Plague Tale Requiem is getting a cloud version on October 18th. Hey, this is our reminder for you that you should never, ever, ever play a cloud version of a game on Switch. Just get it anywhere else. And if you don't have another console, every time you want to buy a cloud version of a game, put aside the $60 instead and buy yourself an Xbox Series S in a couple months. That's my advice to you. Sincerely.
Good advice, actually.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It is a waste of your money.
Yeah, especially considering this game's coming day one to Game Pass. Like, so if you really wanted to play this game, you could play it on Xbox with Game Pass.
Get an Xbox. Yeah. Then we got Captain Velvet Meteor, the Jump Plus Dimensions. Coming July 28th, 2022.
Yeah, we didn't see enough of that game because it looked really, really interesting to me. The visual style looked cool. I wanted to learn more about it. So
yeah,
I may just end up checking that one out because it's coming out pretty soon, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's right around the corner. I think this one's pretty interesting too. It's a tactical action game. It's about like a young kid who's like just moved to Japan, and I think is like having trouble like fitting in and is like feeling lonely and stuff. And I don't know, I like tactical games a lot, and like the idea of it being like a, you know, somewhat cutesy like intimate story about, you know, this kid like trying to find his place in the world or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool to me. And the art style's neat.
Yeah, I like the look of this.
Oh, wait, the characters are from... They're from Shonen Jump? Is that what I just saw? Is that true?
I have no idea. I don't
sure.
know what that word you just said.
It
is.
says 8 playable characters from the Shonen Jump Plus catalog. So Shonen is like Jump is like they publish a bunch of like Shonen manga. Like
Oh, well, that makes sense why it's called the Jump Plus Dimensions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Interesting. Okay. Anyway, I'm looking forward to this one, I think. I don't know. We'll see. So then we got the Portal Companion Collection, which is available today, which is pretty sweet.
And an amazing price. Like, I genuinely cannot believe they got this out for $15. Like, for the two of the best puzzle games of all time, you can buy them for $15 on Switch. It's like an absolute steal. I really feel like
They
Valve...
are very old.
Valve could have charged like 25, maybe even 30, and people
Easily.
would have paid it. $15 for both is phenomenal.
That's
value,
a really good
I
deal.
think.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, like, it's still probably a pretty worthwhile for them when you consider that, like, I think you can almost always buy Portal for, like, $1 on Steam. So it's like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, great deal. And it's another one of those things where it's just like, it's a great game, and it's like great that people have more access to it now. I've never played either Portal. So
Oh my god, please stream them. They are so fun. I will help you with the puzzles if you get stuck. Like, I love Portal so much.
When you get stuck.
And then Portal 2 is co-op, right?
I don't think so.
There's a
I might
co-op
be mistaken.
story in Portal where you play the two robots.
You know, I've never played that, so maybe we could play that then.
There we go, Steve. You get a whole new campaign. All right. Okay. Cool. You heard it here first, everybody. Let us know if you actually want to see that. If you're interested in seeing that, I would do that. I would love to play Portal for the first time.
Well, you've got to play the first one first. Like, you've got to understand the story.
No, that's
before
what I
you
mean.
go
I
to
got to
the
play
second one.
Portal. Then we'll play Portal 2. Then we do the co-op mode of Portal 2.
Yeah.
Would be the string of events.
And I'll watch.
How long does it take to beat those? Could I do more than one in a sitting? Is that reasonable?
No, not Portal 2. Portal 1 you could finish in one sitting, but Portal 2, no, absolutely not. That's how good you are at environmental puzzlers, I guess. Like, you could maybe speedrun if you're super good at them, but I don't feel like you have much experience with them.
No, I'm not super confident in that. I guess we'll see. All right, so last couple here. Then we got a look at Harvestella coming out on November 4th. This one, I know, Chuy, I see you nodding along there. This was your game of the show. I am also very interested in this game. It reminds me a lot of like Moonlighter, right? Where it's like, okay, like you got some farming stuff, you got some crafting stuff, and then you go out and do like the, action, like fight some monsters, get resources that you can then come back and build out the village, and like you're moving through the seasons, and the whole thing is that there's this like death season that's coming that like kills plants and
Quietus.
yeah,
Quietus.
Quietus, and you have to try and do what you can to avoid that and stop it from like destroying your little town that you're building.
Yeah,
out
which
and
reminded
defending.
the way it looked, it was like the Blood Moon Rising in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
With that like red stuff that comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
They got
what
me
it
at-
is about every single game that looks like this. I'm just like, no, I don't want to.
I mean, I think it looks like Final Fantasy Life Sim. Like they're
Yeah,
like, let's
I
just
think that's
add
my issue,
Life Sims
is-
to Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's Final Fantasy's issue. Although I'm really glad that Square found a new font for the first time in decades for the Harvestella logo, because I feel like I've been sick of seeing
That's
that
true.
hideous serif font that they use for all of the Final Fantasy games and spin-offs, and like that other one that they announced.
That
at the
font is
PlayStation
great. Bite your tongue.
God, really cool logo. Love the logo.
I do like
But
it.
like, what was she planting this? Like, she was like planting stuff or watering them with like an umbrella in her hand, and she's just like
Yeah.
waving this like umbrella-looking thing around. It was so weird.
It's Final Fantasy, Steve. You just wouldn't get it.
I wouldn't. I've never played one, so I would not.
Yeah, but I mean that's what appealed to me. I like Final Fantasy. I like whenever they go like the fantasy route, and I love Life Sims, and it had a lot of boxes checked for me. So
Yeah,
Yeah, it was wild to me when Pete told me that Final Fantasy is making a return to fantasy in the next game, and I was just like, isn't that the point of the series? It's called Final Fantasy. Like, why did they ever not be fantasy games? What was going on?
15 is a whole thing. That game is a whole vibe. I don't know if it's a good vibe. I'm pretty sure it's a bad vibe, but it's there. You know, I don't know, man. Because, like, you look at, like, Final Fantasy VII, and I feel like that's about as far as I'm willing to get away from it. Where it's like, okay, like, there's this evil corporation, and they have robots, and they're, like, destroying the planet, and you're fighting them with your very, like, naturalistic, like, values, and we use swords and magic, except for Barrett, who has a gun, which is fine. And it's like, all right, like, it's, like, on the line, but, like, it feels fantasy enough, right? But then you're like Final Fantasy 15, and you're like, we are dressed like a J-pop band, and we have a
driving
car.
Through the desert.
I don't understand what the vibe is here. And it's like you're in a city that is like looks like a kingdom in like, you know, I don't know, like Victorian, like it's very like old timey, like British fantasy, but like, and you have magic spirit weapons, but also I have a car, and then like right outside the bubble, it looks like the American Southwest, and you're driving through deserts and shit. I don't know.
Oh,
it's
so
a
it's
weird
like
fucking
Town.
vibe. It's a weird.
Do you guys know about Thames Town in China? The weird like mythical place that they've made that just looks like London, and everyone goes and gets their like wedding pictures taken there. I'll send you a video about Thames Town. It's really funny.
They got
no
wacky
one lives
stuff
there.
over there. They got
they
wacky
just
stuff.
have like they've like recreated Big Ben and like the bridges and things, and like there's like red buses that they've imported in and everything. It's so funny.
I'm pretty sure there's also like a couple of like illegal theme parks in China that are very interesting. Like I'm pretty sure there's one that's
Probably.
like it's like based on Warcraft. And it's like totally unlicensed.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's fucking
All right.
awesome.
Well, I'm moving to China to make an Animal Crossing theme park. There we go.
Godspeed, Chuy. They will never let you be on a podcast with me again. So, all right. So to wrap it up, of course, we got the news that Persona finally coming to Nintendo Switch. Persona 5 Royal coming in October, just like, you know, we knew it's already coming to Xbox and everything then, with Persona 4 and Persona 3 Portable, or Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable, announced to be coming at a later date, quote unquote, soon. So yeah, October 21st, that's going to be when you get your hands on this one. I feel like, I mean, obviously this is awesome. Great to see it finally coming to Switch. I also feel like this is a thing where, like, if you've been listening to this podcast for any measurable amount of time, you've heard me talk about how great Persona 5 Royal is and how much I love it and how it's one of the best games ever and how it's probably my favorite RPG. You should play it. If you haven't played it before, I really think you should get into it. I think it will be right at home on Switch. I think if you are intimidated by the length, I would implore you to get past that, because I think it's a game that's really easy to play in chunks and to like.
And you know what? It's a lot easier to play in chunks on a handheld, and you just chip away at it. Because I'll tell you what, I could do that with P4G, and there was no issue. And granted, that's a lot shorter of a game. I'm really excited for you to play P4G. I was glad to see Teddy here. I love Teddy as a character. And I feel like you'd like the story of Persona 4 Gold. And I really enjoyed the story on that game.
I'm really excited to play it. I've got it on Steam Deck as well. So I'm not sure if I'll wait to start it or if I'm going to just start it there. But either way, I'm definitely excited for it to be back in the conversation. And
yeah, I would say play it. Xbox had P4G and P3P on their lineup for 2023. So I think by soon it means next year. It's not coming in 2022.
Quite a bit away. So
yeah.
But yeah, I really would love to just take this opportunity to implore you, the listener, again, to go play Persona 5 Royal and hear the gospel. I very much want to try and get the two of you to do like a book club with me, and we play it, and I'll replay it and we can chip away at it. like a couple chapters at a time?
I'll do it. I will do it. I will do it.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right.
I'm in.
Okay.
I've been wanting to play these for a long time, so I'm
we'll,
glad they're coming.
We'll talk more about that in the months to come as we get closer up to October and everything. But obviously, big news, really great for all the Nintendo folks who've been dying to get their hands on this, or if you're like me and you want to replay it, but can't see yourself replaying it on a television, right? Like, great news. Zaid, our resident Persona nut, wrote in and said, with the announcement of Persona 5 Royal finally coming to Switch, what games are Switch owners going to demand next? I thought this was a very fun question. I have no idea. Like, what's the thing now?
Yeah, Wind Waker HD. I feel like the Wind Waker HD and the Metroid Prime trilogy is just like, where the hell are these two? You know.
I'm trying to think of like another
third party.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, this would be great on Switch. Why isn't this on Switch? And I'm coming up a little blank.
There's nothing as big as Persona that's missing, I don't think, unless you think of something like a GTA. But I don't feel like that's really the same demographic. You know, a lot of the audience for Persona, I feel like, was on Switch. You know, people play JRPGs on that console all the time, and it was kind of weird that Persona was always restricted to PlayStation and was never allowed onto Nintendo's consoles. Because Shin Megami Tensei seemingly did really well, so I don't know why they wouldn't want to release it here.
Yeah, I guess I can't think of many. Just everybody get on the ask for a new Viva Pinata train with me. That's it.
Oh, I'm in. That's the one. That's the one, Chuy. We're starting it right now. Viva Pinata on Switch, everybody. Let's make it happen.
You think that's coming? You think that'll be on Switch and not Xbox?
It's
already on Xbox. It's already there.
Yeah, but you think a new one would be on Switch? And
not I'm saying get 1 and 2 on Switch, and then make number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the DS one. Bring that one over too. Might as well.
Sure. Why not?
While we're bringing Microsoft games up, can we have Zoo Tycoon on Switch as well? I loved that game. The Zoo Tycoon DS game was great.
I love Zoo Tycoon. Love it. Love it. That'd be great. All right. So, last question of the day. This one comes from Timberwolf, who wrote in and said, what are you bummed you didn't see at the Direct? Are you holding out hope for a July Direct?
I think I spoke about them at the top. Sports Story, I was really looking forward to see.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted a release date or a shadow drop for Silk Song, just because I want an excuse to play Hollow Knight. And I feel like if everyone's talking about Silk Song and how good it is,
right now's your excuse. You got to play it before Silk Song.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like when it's out, then I'll get the FOMO and I'll just be like, oh god, why aren't I playing that game? And I will go back and try Hollow Knight again. But I think I probably should just play that. I've got a holiday coming up at the end of July, so I'll probably end up playing some Hollow Knight then. But yeah, I think Sports Story is the one that I've really been wanting to hear more about and see more about, and it's just been missing for so long at this point because I loved Golf Story so much.
Yeah, I think for the things that actually could have been at this Direct, that's my number one. I would love to just get an idea of when that game is coming, like, at all, right? Like, even if it is, like, a window that's far out, like, it would just be nice to know it's on the horizon, and the fact that we still haven't heard anything makes me think that we're just not anywhere close. But I think aside from that, like, the stuff I was most disappointed about was just not getting news from the first parties, right? Like, we know what the rest of the year looks like, but we don't have a good idea of what is coming. We don't have a good idea of what, there's all these rumors, right? That there's, like, this Donkey Kong game, that there's Metroid Prime, that there's,
everybody's 1-2 Switch.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. That's like, we know that it's out there under the surface, and
we've seen screenshots of a new Fire Emblem game,
right?
Like that they leaked, and it seemed to verify the rumors, unless they were fake, which they didn't look like they were. It's kind of weird that we haven't seen it. So maybe there will be a July Direct. I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like we've got so much coming up in the next half of the year now that I just don't think Nintendo needs it, because we still got Bayonetta to land at some point, and I don't know when that comes.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it's not going to come now that they didn't announce it. I feel like anything that we don't already have announced is probably not coming unless there is another Direct coming. I don't think there's going to necessarily be one in July, but there could be one closer to the fall maybe. I don't know. But
I
It's
think that was the
weird.
thing with this direct for me. Like it had so much of what I feel would have normally been in a direct, but all that was missing was Nintendo. So I'm
Yeah.
not expecting anything from Nintendo too soon, probably in the fall, maybe around September. Just because we have seen huge directs in September in the past. Not that that's like setting a precedent or anything, but that does tend to be like a time period where they do talk about kind of like the early spring releases, which is nothing at the moment. And at this point, I'm just like, I think this was a mini just because they're not ready to show Breath of the Wild. Like, whatever the next direct is, they're like, all right, this is the next big game. It's coming out in spring. That's when we put it for. We're gonna show you all of the stuff at this next one. And
I
because
could
they're
see
not
that.
ready to do that, I think they decided to just go mini and do a little partner showcase
Yeah, I
here.
think you're right.
And I don't think we get that in July because there's no way they want Xenoblade to be overshadowed by Breath of the Wild 2's announcement. And if
Mm-mm.
Right.
so, that I feel like this now is it for the summer.
Yeah, I
We've
feel like it
got-
would be like late August at the earliest.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think you're probably right about a September direct, and that's coming up close to the Splatoon 3 launch as well. So I feel like they could get in some details on Splatoon 3, maybe talk about an expansion pass set up for that, because I would imagine they've got something in their mind for it,
And it could-
like they did with Xenoblade.
That could potentially be where we get the announcement of like a test fire too, right? Where it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
I would
like,
imagine so. Yeah.
Bayonetta's coming in a few months. Like, here's a first look at this game that's coming out late next year. Here's the test fire. Here's maybe Metroid Prime. Like, I don't know. There are a lot of cards that they could play in a couple months, but it's also like,
I mean, okay, the thing with that though is like the only week in September before, I guess that's long. Maybe they could do the first, September 1st. That's like the Thursday. And then the next week Splatoon launches, but I don't think they'd announce. I feel like
that seems close.
maybe August, August, like end of August or something, they'll announce like some sort of test fire to do like a month before, because that's what they've been doing. Hopefully these
They just
happen.
announced the test fire just on Twitter, didn't they, for sports, Switch Sports?
Yeah, that's true.
I think so. Yeah, I think that was
So
just
they
a
could
Twitter
we could just end up with that,
thing.
and who knows? Maybe we just get a bunch of videos and there is no additional information needed to show off for Splatoon 3 because it's the third one of those
known
games, so
quantity
we
at
kind of
this
know
point.
what's. Yeah.
We kind of know. But going back a little bit, I would have liked to just hear a release date for Ooblets. I want that game so bad
Yeah.
on Switch.
Me too. Like I was watching trailers for it. I was showing Macaulay, and they were like, "What the hell is this? This is weird." And they were like, "Oh, okay, this is actually really cute. Oh yeah, I'd like to play this." So they've not really played their Switch since they fell off Animal Crossing. They put like over 150 hours into Animal Crossing, and I feel like something like Ooblets would hook them back in.
Yeah,
Very nice.
definitely.
Yeah, that's one I would love to get a little bit more news about too. But yeah, I think aside from that, it is just wanting to get more from the first parties, like whatever shape that takes. Because I'm the type of person who likes to get announcements for things that are far away. I know some people really don't like that, so you know, it is what it is. But I feel like
I think Nintendo's one of the people that don't really like
Doesn't
that.
like
'cause
well,
that,
because
yeah.
it's burned them a couple
Yeah.
times this generation now, so fair enough, right? But you know, I don't know. It's kind of nice to know that like Bayonetta and Metroid Prime are like out there, right? And it's like that at any moment we can hear more about them. Like something about that is exciting to me. And I think not having that caliber of announcement is just kind of like what I feel like this was missing, right? Or again, if this had come out a day before the Xbox presentation, right? It would be like, oh, yo, okay. This had juice, right? And I feel like that was the thing that was missing for me was like juice. Great presentation, well paced, lots of good games, but I want those moments that like organically give you that like, oh, whoa, like, okay, all right, like I think that's what you want out of a direct, and you know, I as much as I think people walked away from this one satisfied, I don't think there was a lot of like that level of surprise aside from maybe the Mega Man news, you know, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, overall, I think a strong showcase. I think if this is the caliber that we can expect from partner showcases or you know, mini directs, I I'm going to go into the next one expecting more based on how good this was.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like I did not expect much, to be honest, from this one. And when I saw the lineup when I opened the video, I was like, wow, okay, yeah, this was a really good direct.
Yeah, they came ready. So, if you haven't written in like everyone did today with your thoughts on this week's Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase, what a mouthful. Remember, there's a bunch of ways that you can do that. Hit us up at questions@flipscreen.games. Join the Discord where we've got a thread every week asking for questions. Follow us on social media at flipscreengames and send us your thoughts there. However you choose to get in touch, we appreciate you writing in. And I'm going to issue the challenge again. If you're a longtime listener, if you're a new listener and you've never written into the show, I ask you, write into the show. Whether that's reacting to any of the news we discussed today or on a previous episode or writing in with your own main topic. Hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. And, of course, make sure you go join the community. Head over to the Discord. However you choose to get involved, we're happy to have you. Flipscreen.games is the website, the link where you can find links to all the places that we are all over the web, including our Patreon. If you want to go and get some extra perks and goodies, you can get one more thing. You can get early access to the show. You can get your name read on the air. A bunch of other good stuff. And, of course, that support means a lot, helps us grow and, do fun new stuff. So... of which we've got some announcements brewing for you in a couple weeks, so keep your eyes peeled for that. So, for the crew, I've been Pete, he's been Steve, he's been Chewy, we've been Nintendo Noise, and we'll see ya next week.